Hey, what is going on everyone? Today, I'm actually really excited because I got the Galaxy S23, the standard version. And as you all know on this channel, I've been a really huge fan of the S23 Ultra, and I'm really excited to try to see what this phone is like when it comes to using it in terms of its power. And overall, I'm honestly just really excited to have a more compact phone, like a carryable device rather than these super large phones that I've really become accustomed to, and I think this will be a really nice change of pace. So as you can see, I actually got the Galaxy S23 here in Lavender because I thought it would look the best when it comes to these kinds of videos. And yeah, I don't know, this is one that I'm just really excited to take a look at. This is not a phone that I've touched before, so it's all new despite it being, a couple of months old. This is just a new experience for me, and I really like that because it's more fun when I haven't had my hands on a device before and I actually get to talk about it. So we'll go ahead and take off this peel here. Oh, well, I mean, that wasn't really that satisfying. And this peel, there we go. Put that aside. I'm just going to try to see if the phone will pop out. So similar packaging to the S23 Ultra. Inside of here, we obviously have the USB-C cable, and then over here we have the SIM tool, which obviously is a nice addition. I'm just wondering on when they're going to actually decide to take that away from Samsung phones, because as you all know, with iPhone, you don't get one in the box because you don't have a port on your phone. eSIM and the world that we live in now is kind of sucks, honestly. So anyways, let's go ahead and take off this little flappy bit. Okay, that wasn't really satisfying at all, but here we go. This is the Galaxy S23. I'll give you a closer look at that. The lavender color actually looks really nice. You get these the edges of the device are this kind of purplish color, and same with the phone, but it's not so overdone, which is something that I actually can really appreciate because it's a phone that you're going to be using in your everyday life. Some people really like it to be flashy, some people just like it to kind of be a little bit more muted. I think in this case, this color looks absolutely fantastic. So let's take a look at the device a little bit closer. At the bottom, we have the SIM eject port, as well as the USB-C port, and a speaker, which is nice to see. It looks like a pretty decently sized speaker for the size of this phone. At the top, we have a microphone. The right side, we have the volume up and down, as well as the power button. And then I'm guessing the earpiece speaker, which is kind of like hidden away in here that you actually can't really tell it's there, is going to be the speaker that provides stereo output. I'm not entirely sure if this phone actually does have stereo, so I'll definitely add like a little annotation because I genuinely haven't really looked too much into this device before buying it, and I kind of wanted to go in blind because I figured that'd be the better experience for myself. So there's 3 cameras on the back. I'm gonna have to make a video, a little bit later down the line when I actually use this phone as a daily for a little bit to kind of gauge how the performance of these cameras actually is, and I'm really excited for that because I feel like Samsung phones just have come so far when it comes to the camera quality, especially when it comes to the Galaxy S23 Ultra. That thing blew me away. So if this thing comes even remotely close to that in terms of the camera performance, this is going to be a stellar camera lineup, especially on a phone that is this compact. And I guess I haven't really talked about that, but wow, I am actually like a really big fan of the size of this phone. So this is the Find X5 that I have in my hand right here. You can tell the size difference. I wish I had a better device to kind of compare this to, just to show you, how compact it really is. You can tell with like the size of the Find X5 that this is definitely a compact phone, because the Find X5 is what I would consider to be a really usable compact device. I think the Find X5 is great. But the size of this is just incredible. So I'm going to go ahead and do the first peel on this thing. Wow. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. So this phone's display is 6.1 inches. It is 2340 by 1080. So it's basically just full HD plus. which is actually pretty good and pretty reasonable for the size of this phone. It has a 120 Hz refresh rate, which obviously is very welcome, especially in flagships when you're paying ridiculous prices. So it has a 3-camera stack, one of them being 50 megapixels, and then on the front you have a 12 megapixel camera. This one is 128 gigs of storage, and it's not expandable, which of course is something that we've become very familiar with over the last little period. And it has a 3900 milliamp hour battery, which some people will say is quite small, but with the 8 Gen 2, I actually think that amount of battery is perfectly plenty and usable. People are getting like 8-9 hours of screen on time with this device, and I think it's absolutely insane that this small phone can get you that kind of battery performance. It's actually kind of mind-blowing. It's also just kind of crazy to think that last year with the S22 Ultra, I wasn't even really able to get half of that battery life with the 8 Gen 1. So having that 8 Gen 2 inside of here really does make up a lot when it comes to this device. And of course, with that Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 inside of here, this phone does have 8 gigs of RAM. And I think that 8 gigs of RAM is plenty. I think that, using that 8 gigs of RAM on the S23 Ultra maybe isn't, the best spec, considering that phone's supposed to be the end-all be-all when it comes to their top flagship lineup. So I think in the S23, having that 8 gigs is perfectly fine, especially because apps and your display in general are going to be running at just a lower resolution as well. But yeah, I'm super excited to see what this phone is like. So I'm going to go ahead and get it set up and then just do like a little walkthrough, I guess, for a little bit. So I did go ahead and just drop my SIM card inside of this phone, and now it's just rebooting because it has to. But I'm going to go ahead and run through this setup very quickly and then just take a look at what One UI looks like on a device like this, because honestly I've only seen One UI on big phones like the Fold 4, like the S22 Ultra, and like the S23 Ultra. I haven't actually experienced it on the S23 or even any of the other Samsung flagships in the last little while. So I think this one is definitely interesting, and I'm just really excited. One thing that I'm already noticing about the display is that, there's bezels, like bigger bezels than I'm used to on a Samsung phone. And part of that is because obviously with the Fold 3, the Fold 4, S22 Ultra, there are bezels on those phones, but 2 of them are foldables and you have a larger display, so it doesn't really bother you that much. And the other ones have a curved display on the side, so you only really have the forehead. You only really have the forehead and the chin. Now, this is something that I actually don't mind because it helps with touch rejection. And the fact that the screen is flat is also really nice because it's just easier to get screen protectors. It's easier to hold, I feel like, and your content doesn't fall off. Like, there's no waterfall effect. I like flatter displays in phones. Maybe I do like the look of the S23 Ultra when it comes to the glass being curved, but in terms of functionality, this is definitely how I like it. So yeah, here we go. We're all signed in to Samsung's One UI on the S23, and I have to say, the size of this phone is just super nice. Like, being able to navigate basically the entire device with one hand comfortably, I think that makes a really big difference in how I use my phone. With the S23 Ultra and the 14 Pro Max, it's kind of a pain in the ass, and this is like why I wanted to try out this phone, because I was thinking that when the next Pixel comes out, or just even when the next major flagship releases, I might just go for the smaller one as my personal phone. Like, I don't really see the need to going and getting the largest device that you can anymore, especially since a lot of people seem to be downsizing and a lot of people are interested in these smaller devices. So yeah, here we go. This is the S23 Ultra. Sorry, not the Ultra. This is the S23 in Lavender, and I'm really excited to take a look at this device more in depth and really get more out of it, because I think that this thing is going to be an absolute powerhouse for the size. And man, I am loving the rounded edges on this thing, because it's not just the phone having rounded corners, but also there's rounded corners, like, on the edge of the phone, if that makes any sense. So it kind of like falls nicely into your hand. If you want to see some more content on the Galaxy S23, let me know in the comments down below, because I'm definitely going to be making some extra videos on this phone, because I think that this thing's just cool. Anyways, I'll see you all in the next one. Don't forget to leave a like and sub to the channel. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.